Hello, my name is Dr. David Silbersweig at Harvard Medical School in Boston. I'm really pleased to be able to speak with Vietnam AI Conference 2024 on behalf of the Boston Global Forum and our Natural AI Initiative. Today, I'll be speaking about the brain in AI and ways in which we are thinking about how to form and develop a more naturally based AI that's consonant with what we know about the brain. And of course, artificial intelligence and the brain are both complex systems, and we need to understand them and their interrelationship as such. And that understanding can help us to develop the technology in a way that is safer and more useful. For many hundreds, if not thousands of years, people have been wondering about the human mind and about intelligence, let alone now artificial intelligence that comes from the human mind. And we tend to think in terms of philosophy and in terms of technology and now in terms of neuroscience in different ways, but these ways are converging. And we need to be able to understand the human mind brain in health and disease and in societies and computers and the way that everything can work together more harmoniously. We have increasing forms of science, basic science and scanning science, brain imaging science of the sort that I do that can now help us understand more about the brain circuits and neural networks underlying perception, cognition, emotion, and behavior in health and disease. And in fact, we have models of the mind brain now that are increasingly sophisticated and evidence-based. Our mind, of course, evolved in the context of our evolving brain and is capable of extraordinary feats of complex processing and representation, and allows us to be able to engage in things like predicting future events or combining a sensing of our internal state with the changing outside world and balancing these two in an ongoing, changing, harmonious fashion. And more, we're able to even understand the connections physically and functionally among regions and circuits and processes of the brain with greater sophistication, to the point where we can understand what the brain is doing at rest and what it's doing when we are thinking and feeling different things, when we are aware of ourself, when we are aware of each other, and how it is that the brain keeps track of and represents all of these things functionally. How things go wrong when people develop delusions in schizophrenia, for instance, where the threat circuitries of the brain, the fight and flight mechanisms of the brain get inappropriately activated. When things can actually be helped by understanding brain imaging and technology, using technology, such as using brain stimulation now to correct abnormalities in the brains of patients who are depressed, who are not responding to psychotherapy or medications. And we can have precise targeting with brain imaging of these neural networks for modulation. We can even modulate the brain with talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, because we're understanding more and more now that the brain interacts with the environment and learns from experience. And this can be linguistically mediated. And we can think both psychologically and psychosocially, as well as biologically, without seeing those as a dichotomy. We can visualize networks in the brain and model them with very complex processing, including processing incorporating machine learning. We can develop predictive analyses and understand patterns of activity in the brain with exquisite sensitivity, and decode more and more how it is that that feelings and thoughts are represented in the brain and perceptions, and again, how things go awry in the context of disease and what to do about it. It's not just disease or health, but even understanding political ideology of conservatism versus liberalism and differences in the brain in terms of the brain circuits and functions and the psychology, the neuropsychology involved, or even issues of morality and how we distinguish between groups that we're part of and other groups, which causes a lot of problems in the world, and we need to understand better in order to be able to transcend and develop better ways of conflict mitigation or prevention, if not resolution. We are understanding more and more about how brains and minds interact and how brains of two people can be in synchrony when they are interacting, as demonstrated neurophysiologically. We are understanding more and more how the information is actually coded in the brain. And there are ways of using machine learning to decode activity in the brain and even reproduce the image that a person sees when their brain is being scanned just from the neural activity. Or one step further, being able to measure brain activity in complex ways in multiple areas at the same time and reconstruct the patterns that underlie things like language and thoughts so that we can, in people who may not be able to speak, one day be able to, with this information, decode information from their own brain and put what they wanted to say on the computer. Again, with the brain and the technology working together. There's more research these days about how we interact with brains. How we interact with robots, how we interact with other people versus with computers, and the similarities and the differences in the brain states. The more we understand about this, the more we'll be able to develop or refine or optimized or ethically develop the increasing human-computer interaction world. In all, the human brain and AI are both complex systems, one made by the other, of course. And if we can harness and understand underlying principles of both and harmonize such that we understand the ethical and the pro-social, humane aspects of our own brain processing and diminish some of the antisocial, inhumane aspects, we may be able to interact with computers in a way such that they can help us, artificial intelligence can help us be better people, and we can help artificial intelligence develop in a more moral fashion. Underlying both human brain neural dynamics and complex systems, as well as complex systems of artificial networks, are things such as the free energy principle and underlying principles of physics and biology, such that complex systems tend to minimize prediction error. And they do that in a way that is adaptive. And if we can make our own behavior and interactions with AI more adaptive and AI more adapted to the better parts of our nature, then we can be in a situation where we can have more hope and try to mitigate some of the challenges and problems that are concerning people. So all in all, what we hope to do in the Boston Global Forum is, with natural AI, essentially, is to advance a human-centered AI through the integration of natural systems and neuroscience so that we can enhance policy and societal well-being and the development of the technology and human social interactions in a positive manner, and combine insights from the brain and the mind in health and disease with insights and developments in technology and AI, and to combine them with underlying understanding of complex systems to hopefully develop more humane forms of human AI interaction in this increasingly rapidly developing world and field that we're in, and to do it in a way that decreases the violence and conflict in the world and hopefully increases smart, collaborative, collective decision-making and problem solving. So thank you for your attention, and I wish you the best of luck with the Vietnam AI 24 conference.